every company, every person you deal with has goals and objectives. An operations person has a goal for what they do. They have objectives. Companies have goals and objectives. The more you understand them, the better off you are. So for the time being, when we're trying to uncover this information, all we're looking for is what's important to the company long term. Those are goals. What's important to more short term, objectives, 3 to 6 months. What are the kinds of things they're trying to accomplish? And then third, obstacles. What's hindering them? What's hurting them? What's preventing them from achieving their goals and objectives? If one of their objectives is to capture more market share, well, what's the obstacle? Well, they don't have a big enough credit limit to provide whatever. Okay, that's an obstacle. What else? You know, they don't have the ability to turn stuff around fast enough. What else? They whatever. Now, if you as a salesperson knew those are their obstacles, is there something you can do to help them with some of those, to create a competitive advantage, to let them capture more market share? Yes, Tanya? Is that worth something?
Indeed.
And if you can do that, do you have to give them the lowest price with the best terms? No. Will they still appreciate it? Absolutely. And that's what we're after. Is the more you know, the better position you can be to actually deliver the right solution at the right price that everybody values. And then the rest of this is kind of desires, needs, and wants. What do the people you're talking to want? What's a great situation for them? And often people will say, well, you know, really the only thing they care about is price and delivery. If that was true, then the only thing that would ever win is price and delivery. But we all know that that's not the case. Most of the time, it's not price and delivery that wins. That's a component. There are other reasons why we win business. And there wouldn't be much value for most of us if the only thing customers cared about was price and delivery. Because anybody could sell price and delivery. It takes a real salesperson to sell a solution with real business value. It doesn't take much effort to give someone the best price and the best delivery. And so this is where we have to step up and say, what can I do to bring more value to my customer and my company and create a win-win for all of us? And so it requires understanding, what does the customer want? What do they need? What do they value? And then two, how do they measure that? One of the things we always recommend is have a conversation with your customer around how they measure success. Why would that be important? So you can do what?
So you can articulate what it is you may be able to do for them in those terms that
Yep.
are relevant to what they're doing.
Absolutely.
You can identify completion.
You can identify completion. What else can you do when you have success metrics?
You can use them to show your value, to demonstrate the ROI.
You can use them to demonstrate your ROI. When? When can you do that?
As soon as you've proven that,
Yeah.
success.
Anytime you've proven that you've hit a success metric. How do you know you've hit a success metric if you don't have one? Most people don't have success metrics, which means they never know when they're successful, which means they can never prove their value, which means they're back to price and shipping. It's a catch-22 that most of us fall into. You have to have success metrics before you can measure them, before you can succeed them, before you can then communicate the value. And then what happens when you actually have success metrics? You achieve them, and you have a meeting with the customer by phone or in person to communicate that value. What happens next?
They want to buy more.
They want to buy more from who? The other guy?
No.
Why?
Because you're proven performance.
Bingo. You know, as simple as that sounds, if I sat down and asked most salespeople, okay, tell me your number one customer. Okay, it's this. I said, okay, what are the success metrics that you use, that you review with them on a quarterly basis that demonstrates that you delivered the value they thought you're delivering? What are those success metrics? Take a wild guess. How many of those salespeople would be able to tell you what the success metrics are of their number one customer that they use on a quarterly basis as topics of discussion to review how well they're doing with their customers. You know, in addition to us on that IBM team, in addition to us having a really good strategic plan to go after every division and get all this information and insight, the one thing we did that made an enormous difference in us growing our business was we actually established a set of success metrics that we would go in and review on a quarterly basis with all the key executives at IBM to see how we were doing against those success metrics. And every meeting we had produced deeper and deeper insight into what we had to do to hit different success metrics. And every time we hit one or missed one but knew how to fix it, it built our trust and credibility with that customer that then they trusted and gave us more business, which then led to more success metrics, which led to more business, which led to more insight. It was just a fascinating process. Most of the time, we don't get credit for the success we deliver to our customers, so we can never leverage that for more business at better margins.
Well, they don't clearly know. A lot of them wouldn't know.
You know, Tanya, you just brought up a great point. A lot of times the customers don't know. That's a great point.
But yeah, it's a common one.
Great. So that's a perfect point, and it's valid. So if I'm going through a conversation with a customer and I say to them, okay, great. I understand this is important to you, this is important to you. Now, as we engage in this relationship, Tanya, I'd like to have a monthly or quarterly meeting with you. And what I like to do during that time is review all the success metrics of our relationship to make sure I'm meeting your objectives. Tanya, what are we going to measure? And you're going to say, I have no idea, Nick. I've never thought about that. Nobody's ever asked me that question before. Well, aren't you glad I came along? And then you might say, well, Nick, what do some of your other customers measure? Ooh, I don't know. We don't do it with anybody. No, that's not the right answer, right?
No, but
But you can say, you know what?
comments that are-
Some of our customers who are similar in scope to you, here's some of the things they measure. And so I would suggest we begin with these. One, we should measure on-time delivery. Two, we should measure response time. Three, we should measure kind of satisfaction in the way we're working together. You know, are your people happy with what we do? And then we can kind of expand those based on additional conversations. How does that sound? It's a great starting point. It's more than anybody else does. Now, did my credibility and trust with you go up or down during that conversation?